Games, a show where we explore the collapse of society by playing fun tabletop role-playing games. I'm your host, Stu Masterson, and I'm joined by one lonely boy.
It's just me.
Let me say it better. One pig in a blanket.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just me today, and I'm blanket for it.
Brady will be back later, but you introduce yourself first. I just wanted to calm people down in case they were panicking.
Yeah, they're panicking. Oh God, Brady's not in this episode. We're turning it off immediately.
He just found his dad and he's not in this episode.
Yeah. Well, my name is Jacob, and I play Ocean, a gentle giant who's maybe not as gentle as I thought he was. That little factoid of 45 confirmed kills.
I like that
Maybe
one.
I should remove the gentle giant from my name.
I can't believe Book got that question wrong and said Beethoven. At least, like, it would have been better. This is now just me insulting Brady while he's not here, but it would have been better if he was like, there's no way I couldn't believe Ocean would have killed that many, or I don't want to hurt his feelings by saying it's him. Like, that would have been good.
Yep.
But him just getting it wrong was embarrassing.
It's because I'm such a sensitive soul. Ocean's such a sensitive soul that I always forget he's also murdered a lot of people. To be fair, most of the people that he's killed are people that have been trying to kill him. He just doesn't hold his punches.
Also, I wasn't being mean by calling Jacob a pig in a blanket. He's literally inside of a blanket fort right now because part of the reason Brady's not here is we're in unideal recording conditions for a short period of time.
And I have draped a blanket, my dog blanket, over my mic and me.
It's a beautiful sight. I wish our listeners could see it.
I'm roasting alive in here.
There's a very big, exciting episode. Let's do a very quick BuzzFeed Presents Apocalypse. Just a couple words. Don't have to explain it much. But I think what I want to ask, unless you got a good one.
No, I don't have a good one at all.
Okay. I was going to say, so if Ocean was forced or got the opportunity is the way I'd look at it to pick out any tattoo for Book, what would you choose?
What tattoo Ocean would pick for Book?
Like if he lost a bet, I guess. So you could be nice, you could be mean, you could be whatever.
I think Ocean would suggest Book to get a tattoo of an old-timey record player.
Ooh, why?
It just strikes
it's
me.
Classy.
It's classy. It's an old technology. Book strikes me as a guy that'd be into like analog media, and it kind of fits the detective vibe, right? Like that little jazzy,
noir.
Yeah, a little noir. Yeah. I don't think Book would want, Ocean wouldn't want Book to get a nasty tattoo. Ocean's a good guy. He would want Book to get a classy tattoo. So
that's sweet of you. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. It will have like a big phonograph on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
What record is it going to be?
That's a great question.
Be really hard to see, but
that is a really great question. The only song I can think of that's coming to my head is Chuck Mangione's "Feel So Good."
That would people be so confused, kind of leaning in. What does that say? Yeah. Chuck Mangione feels so good. Quick aside, are you wearing a Creed shirt?
I sure am. I invited you to this Creed concert and you ghosted my ass, actually.
I will not ask any follow-up questions and I will not defend my actions. I'd be less nice than you. I would want to do something that's making fun of how bad of a detective he is.
Oh, really?
So I would have, I think I'd do a full back tat and it would have himself on it.
Okay.
And he'd be holding up a magnifying glass, looking at a bad clue. He'd be looking at like a feather, and in the background you could see like the killer walking around looking confused. So he's like clearly incorrect, but he's like smiling looking at it, and then he has a little speech bubble, and it's gonna say "easy peasy, dangerously cheesy."
Why isn't he looking at a piece of cheese or something?
Oh, that would be good. Damn it. Fuck.
Yeah, like a nice little brick of like that stereotypical cheddar cheese block with like the holes in it.
Do we have a Bugsnack? Or instead do we have Anime with Jacob? I don't know. So you normally do the like wow sound afterwards, but I feel like I have to do both. So we'll try a few things. First, we'll do a nice anime. So like Anime with Jacob. How about Gambate? Is that good? Okay, Jacob's dying laughing. I'm gonna try third one while he catches his breath. I made him collapse his pillow for it. My third one is gonna be Anime with Jacob. Believe it.
Oh, it's terrible. So bad.
Okay, 1, 2, or 3.
I like the Ganbate.
Okay, that will be what we'll do.
bad.
I don't know if I'll cut out the rest or leave them for everyone to also vote on. If I don't cut out all of them except my Gambate, then send us an email saying which one we should use for all of our future Anime with Jacob moments.
Jacob. That's a great segment. We tricked you guys. You thought this was going to be a quick, easy intro? No.
What anime are we talking about today? And it has to be post-apocalyptic. We're sticking by the rules.
So there's a reason, actually, I wanted to talk about this, and it actually is related to something that occurred in one of our episodes. I was kind of thinking about how we don't have a single original idea in our bodies, right?
Speak for yourself.
We're pretty
for
good
sure.
at we're ripping things off all the time, even when we don't even realize it. And I think our one of our last episodes was like, it's near the finale, right? We're approaching the climax of our story, and we have a random Jeopardy episode where we just where we do a Jeopardy game. And I was literally having a shower thought where I was sitting in the shower and I was thinking, it's like, holy shit, I watched an anime where that literally happened. There's this anime called Ergo Proxy, which is a very weird post-apocalyptic, bizarre show. And the next to the penultimate episode to the final arc is literally, it just begins in a Jeopardy episode. There's no explanation for how they got there. It just starts and they're playing Jeopardy, and they use it as a way of both kind of being a comic relief, one last little final funny haha thing before things get really serious. But they also are using it to randomly drop lore explanations for things on you, because they ask categories and it's like, what was the inhabitants of the moon and why did they go there? And then the characters are like, what the hell? And it randomly explains things that have been going on through the series that you didn't know. And I was like, man, that would be an interesting series to talk about, because that fits all our boxes. Post-apocalyptic, weird anime.
In a Jeopardy episode.
But all that is a ruse, because I'm here to talk to you about Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Boom, play theme song in the background right now.
Yeah, the real reason is because I thought of Ergo Proxy and I was like, I should talk about that. And then I thought for a second, it's like, man, I really want to talk about Evangelion.
Yeah, why would you talk about any other anime when you could talk about the best anime that's out there?
As a pretentious asshole, Neon Genesis Evangelion is probably my favorite fictional media franchise of all time. And it's perfect for our series because it actually ties in a little bit with Oops All Apocalypse, because Oops All Apocalypse, we're not living through an apocalypse, right? We are living in a post-apocalyptic world within a post-apocalyptic world, which is kind of
we're at least one layer deep. Yes.
Yeah, and Evangelion's the sort of the same way. The premise of Evangelion is that long ago, in the era of the dinosaurs, first impact occurred, where this big alien entity made contact with the Earth and released life onto the planet. And that was like millions and millions of years ago. In the year 20 something, it's surprisingly, we are past the time that Evangelion took place at this point.
I think it was like 2015, actually.
Yeah, we were past the time that Evangelion took place. But a few years prior to the start of Evangelion, an event occurred called Second Impact, which was this giant explosion that occurred for some mysterious reasons that obliterated a huge portion of the entire the population of the world, made lots of places uninhabitable, and released these beings called angels into the world, which start coming and trying to destroy this main setting, which is one of the last main big cities in Japan, Tokyo 3. And the only way to fight these creatures is with giant robots called Evangelions. So the entire series is about fighting big old eldritch monsters in big old robots. But these robots...
That's not why it's good, though.
That's not why it's good. These robots have a little more to them than you would expect. I don't want to spoil a lot of the series because part of the fun of watching Evangelion is the wild ride it takes you on.
Jumping in now, you're the mega fan, but I will say Evangelion is my favorite anime by far. About twice as much as Sailor Moon, my second favorite anime. And
if you know anything about Stu, he's a big Sailor Moon fan.
Huge Sailor Moon fan. The reason I like it is kind of related to what you last talked about. Is this may sound nonsensical, but to me, it's like the opposite of the J.J. Abrams mystery box type thing, where like you always finish an episode and there's a mystery, and then you get to the next episode and there's another mystery, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I never feel any resolution. Where to me, and this may be because I've watched it like 5,000 times, but to me, in Evangelion, as you watch it, you're always like, what the fuck is going on? But you're also getting inundated with all this information that's answering a bunch of those questions. But there's more what the fuck is going on constantly. So it's a much more like constant stream of like exciting new things, but you're not getting like frustrated. Like, what is this?
Yeah, it just inundates you with information that the mystery of the show isn't it hiding it from you. The mystery of the show is figuring out what all this shit means, because it just like throws terms at you and things that are occurring. Yeah.
I'm going to get a quote here from the Apocalypse World rule book right here in just a second, because I think it does a great job of this particular thing, which hopefully we do here. There's a key tenet in Apocalypse World that if you read the MC instructions on what to do, it says always be scrupulous, even generous with the truth, and that the players depend on you to get like real information that they can really use about their surroundings, which I think is one unique compared to like D&D, where a lot of it's like, I'm the DM, I've outsmarted you. You didn't know my trap was there. But I think that's exactly what Evangelion does. It's just constantly very truthful. There's not really hidden things from you. It's showing you the behind the scenes stuff, but you're like, I don't know why it's happening still.
There's three big aspects to me why I find Evangelion so interesting. And the first main aspect is that the show kind of tries to trick you into thinking it's something different than it really is, which was intentional. The guy that was making Evangelion was going through a really rough time in his life when he came up with the concept and wrote the series. He was coming off of like several failed projects. He was having a lot of mental health issues, and he was getting a little bit frustrated with the industry that he was working in. And so Evangelion was initially supposed to be like one of his next big project that he had all these hopes in, but the industry kind of crushed those hopes into him with the reality of the situation of how hard it is to make a series. And Evangelion kind of tries to trick you into thinking it's a different series than it really is, because in the beginning it is a very stereotypical mecha anime. It plays up the tropes a lot. Like, it is throwing all the stereotypical anime bullshit at you in the first 3 episodes, so a lot of people bounce off because they think this is just some stereotypical anime bullshit. But it is doing that intentionally because it's taking those tropes, establishing what people are familiar with and used to, and then later in the series, even as early as about episode 12 or 11, it takes those tropes and starts kind of spinning them in different ways to kind of examine the tropes in a more realistic light of like, okay, the second thing I think is very interesting and fun about Evangelion, and this is one of the more surface level things about Evangelion, is I really enjoy the Judeo-Christian imagery and concepts that it throws at you. A lot of people are like, yeah, he only threw that in because he says in interviews because he thinks it's like super cool and whatnot. He's like, oh, that's weird and interesting, and so he throws it in there. And yeah, it is. It's not something you see a lot in anime. It's all surface level stuff, but at the same time, it's really interesting to see something that us as Americans are like indoctrinated with at a very young age. Like, all this Christian imagery is constantly thrown at us in the United States, and I'm assuming a lot of other Western countries. But to see the Japanese take on Judeo-Christian imagery and used in strange ways it's fun and it's cool, and it's very surface level, admittedly, but he does play with the themes in like interesting ways, in my opinion.
It ties a sense of like, I guess, our world to this crazy world in there, which is really interesting because they're like talking about semi-real relics that exist.
And T scrolls are a big part of the story of Evangelion.
For how fantastical and crazy it is, it's still very like real world, like all the normal day-to-day stuff is 90% the same, but then you get attacked by these crazy angels and your entire city has to reverse and go underground.
Yeah. And the angels, when you kill them, they explode into crosses. It's so ridiculous. It's amazing.
Yeah, and half your city gets destroyed all the time. There's always air raid sirens, but everything else pretty much goes on as normal, which is one of those things that, like, during the show, you're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, everything's empty. There's sirens going off, and you're like, what?
Yeah, it is very much portrayed that it is the end of days, and the end of the days is coming very soon. But people still go on their daily lives and try and function, and it's kind of fun. That's another interesting thing I didn't really think about until you brought it up. But the third thing about Evangelion that I just find so fascinating is kind of the whole concept of that true art is kind of comes from limitation, you know, like some of the most interesting things are made by people with like the least amount of resources because you have to make do with what you have. Evangelion was notoriously plagued with production issues and behind the scenes issues. Things did not go at all according to the plan of Hideaki Anno, the creator. As the show goes on, the production issues become more and more apparent, especially back in the day. Anime wasn't produced in like how a lot of our television shows are nowadays, where the season is made and then like a year later it airs. A lot of these anime, especially back then, were finished. The episode that they were finishing was finished, and then an hour later they pushed it on air.
Oh, an old South Park scenario.
Yeah, they had some serious time crunches they struggled with, and Evangelion was plagued with budgetary issues, time issues, a ton of behind the scenes drama. And you can tell because the quality of the show when it comes to its animation takes a sharp decline about on the halfway point.
They use those animation limitations. It's not like, to me, it's not like the animation just necessarily got worse. They started doing things like having like really long single shots, right? They felt very intentional, even if it was partially because they had these like huge budgetary issues and things like that.
Honestly, several of the scenes where it's just a really long single shot, it's done because it's as long as it is because of budgetary constraints, right? Like there's no reason they wanted an entire 2 minutes of you looking at a single frame because they wanted to, right? They threw that in because like, well, crap, we don't have the funds to animate much more, the time to finish this, so we'll just throw it in. But it's very successfully used in scenes where there's a lot of tension. So there's one of the most famous scenes is an elevator ride, and they're just sitting on the elevator in dead silence for something like 2 minutes or something. It's ridiculous. The awkward and the tension in the air is so palpable in that scene. It does a really good job illustrating the feelings that the characters are going through and making you feel what they're probably feeling.
And those budgetary concerns got fixed eventually, and he got to make many endings. So there's like basically 4 or 5 movies that are all continuations of the series that we don't have time to talk about.
No, we do not. We do not.
But I'm sure we will next time Brady's gone. Well, that was way too long, so I'm gonna have to cut half of it.
I'm sorry. I warned you.
It's all good.
I warned you ahead of time.
The important thing is both of us give full-hearted recommendations to go watch Evangelion. Thank you for our first annual anime with Jacob.
I'm such a fucking weeb.
As we get back to the action. Previously, you all have been invading the tower for quite a while now. You're at what you believe is your final audition, and you have finally ran into Book's dad, Charles McCready, who seems to be the main character in some sort of Indiana Jones-esque adventure television show. Book has decided to keep his current identity a secret and is pretending to be someone else and is trying to, I guess, kind of open him up. I don't really know what you guys are doing yet, but you guys are playing around with him, trying to get more information and trying to, I guess, get him to come to his senses.
Him to realize what's going on. We're trying to get in his head a little bit.
But you've agreed to go on some crazy adventure with him. But before we get back to that crazy crazy adventure. There's a crazy adventure happening outside of the tower too.
Uh-oh.
And it's been a long time since we kind of talked about what's going on outside of the tower because we've been having fun with Jeopardies and CSI Miamis and whatnot. But you guys did a bit of a blunder and caused a lot of people to attack the Boxcar Children at the same time.
Oh no.
So there's rules in this game for combat of large groups that we have pretty much never used. That's why the framing of Ocean's move is that he counts as a small gang, is because there's the ability for gang on gang violence to occur. And that's what we're about to deal with now. So Jacob, I'm going to have you make some rolls to see how things are done. You can also make sort of tactical decisions for how things are going for the gangs.
Oh, that's a bad choice. I'm bad at tactical games.
Okay, we're going to start with a more zoomed out macro battle first, and then we're going to zoom into a particular combat that you probably care a little more about. But this one has some interesting implications for what you guys are doing in the tower, so I want to start with that. We see the Boxcar Children in their headquarters. You see Hot Goss in that war room from before, and all of a sudden, alarms just start blaring, red lights start turning, and the whole building shakes. So you know that they are welded up inside of this building right now in case there is a sudden flood. Most people have evacuated and are in safe areas, but there are a lot of kind of ongoing battles on the outskirts, not even in the baffles necessarily, that the Boxcar Children were involved in.
Okay.
And it seems like one of those has kind of come home to them. She flips a monitor on and it shows an outside view, and you see some very well-armed soldiers coming in. And
man,
if Ocean was here, he would actually recognize them. These look like exactly the same people that you frequently ran into as a Silent when you were on your nuclear reactivation missions you were doing. They're always these kind of well-armed mercenary looking people.
Oh, interesting. So the people I was fighting when I was the Silence a lot.
Yes.
Interesting.
You haven't got to meet since you've gotten your memory back or lost your memory. But if Ocean was here, he would know it's those same people. They have some of the same insignias. They got very similar weapon, kind of a mix of very formal looking attire, like they're trying to look like they're all part of the same unit, but mixed in with stuff that's clearly been scrapped up and around, like a lot of painted shirts to make sure they're the same colors as people in there, saying it's just spray painted, nice tactical colors. As you know, they're pretty well armed, and the alert has gone off because there was a large shoulder mounted rocket that has hit the corner of the building, and it did not quite break it. It didn't bust into it because they've really reinforced this shit up. It's very hardy and difficult to attack, but they are closing in, and the Boxcar Children are calling in people to flank them, because these are Boxcar Children from outside of the defense factory. So they're coming back in, and we're going to do a gang versus gang combat to see how well this fight goes. So things you got going against you. The Boxcar Children are a little outnumbered from these soldiers because they are spread so thin through the many combats. And I don't know if you remember, but the AI put out a commercial that basically said, hey, Boxcar Children can't fight well right now. You should try to attack them.
Yeah.
So they don't have a lot of people available, but they've been able to pull back some roaming bands of Boxcar Children's. You can describe what this roaming band's types of like weapons or what their specialty is, I guess.
Guerrilla combat. I think that would make most sense to me, that they're much better at fighting in atypical situations.
Okay, so the Boxcar Children that come back, we hear them first, and they're on a bunch of mopeds and shitty motorcycles as they ride back into this kind of giant open cavern, and they immediately start scaling some of the towers and the fencing and the places near the building that they're able to get to. At least a lot of them are kind of around the hangar, and they're trying to maneuver their way in towards where this intruding force is. So we're going to do some battle. You can look at this gang advantage checklist and try to argue for any of the points for the Boxcar Children.
Okay. I'm going to argue that we have a secure defensive position. I think that's definitely true.
I think that is true. So that means they inflict one more harm and they take one less harm.
They outclass them in mobility for sure.
Okay, I will give you that one because they're guerrilla fighters.
I think Hot Goss is very clearly a very intelligent leader. I think Hot Goss, because she runs the Boxcar Children and lets them be all crazy and wild because she's scheming behind the scenes. I think that she is a masterful tactician that we just don't realize.
Okay, I'll give you that, but it may hurt you later when she tries to kill you.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's about all I think you can argue.
Yeah, there's
but you
no
can try
way
if
I
you
don't
want
argue
to.
that they're more organized and disciplined. And that's basically the rest of them. Oh, and you already told me that they're much better armed than we are, so I don't know if I can argue that one.
Yeah, and in fact, those two are going to come back to hurt you. And I'm going to say they are dramatically better organized, trained, and disciplined.
Come on. We're not dramatically better.
And for the people here, they are better armed and armored than the Boxcar Children that have come back. So that leaves you with a +1, -1 for your harm that gets inflicted. So give me that do battle roll.
Well, that's double sixes. That's a 12, baby.
Damn. Okay. So
That's
that is
actually
a full
higher than 12.
success.
That's a 15.
Do you want the full success on the attack someone or on the act under fire?
I think the Boxcar Children probably care more about attacking someone than they do defending themselves. From what I know about them, I suspect that's the option that they're going to go with.
Okay, then choose 2 for that.
Inflict terrible harm and seize hold of their current location.
So that puts you at 4 harm to them with your additions.
Okay.
And you're going to take 2 harm back.
Okay.
Accounting for their very light armor that they have because these are guerrilla fighters. So what that means, the attacking people, the attacking military force has widespread serious injuries and many fatalities. The Boxcar Children have many injuries. Several of them are serious, and there's a couple fatalities. So you did great.
Oh, hell yeah.
Great with this battle.
Hell yeah.
I want you to describe what that battle looks like.
So I'm going to say they're coming in through the tunnels, right? So they're coming in and they've got themselves geared up. They've got their night vision goggles on. They're prepared for a battle with, they're a trained military. And so they're expecting to be going up against another trained military group. So as they go through the tunnels, the person in the front kind of makes a motion for people to take his lead, and he takes a step forward and a box of snakes falls on him.
Yes,
and as he's like as he's shaking around going, what the fuck is all these snakes? You hear a bunch of yipping and hooting as a bunch of guys on segways come in with assault rifles from the tunnels at all angles, and they don't know what the hell is going on because they're used to fighting people in motorized vehicles. They're probably used to fighting the silent. So what the hell when a guy with a bunch of segways, the one, they're probably dumbfounded, like, are these guys serious? Two, he's got a serious mobility advantage now. So they're zipping around and they're in segways, so they're clearly taking very heavy shots. There's no armor, right? They're riding segways.
Yes.
Nothing's blocking the bullets, but they don't care, and they're overwhelmed because no matter how many times they shoot these guys, they don't seem to get discouraged. They're yipping and hooling and sound like they're just having a great time, even though their guys are dropping left and right. And I think all that combined causes him to be like, oh fuck, we have to recalculate our plan. This is not going to work. And he orders a tactical retreat.
Okay, as they tactical retreat, there are some charges placed in one of the tunnels that they end up blowing up in their retreat to kind of stop these horrific segwayed individuals from following them further. So it seems like the dust has settled for now. Camera zooms over. It goes through the baffles. It goes crazy fast. It passes right by a snake that puts its tongue out right when the camera's near it. And then it gets into the long dark, shoots over Hamlet opening too fast for you to see anything except Johnny Hurts at his station, and goes wide above Subtropolis, seeing all these massive buildings before it quickly turns down and plummets into a sewer grate. And we see Kara, and I guess the 2 people leading would be Kara and Den Wallace.
Oh, Lord.
Vastly different skill sets. And as we see them, they are engaged in small arms combat with what seems to be a couple dozen just roughly cubular shaped piles of flesh that are dragging themselves towards them from all different directions. Yes. They have big bouncy teeth as they open up their maws and they drag closer and closer to your friends. So we're going to do another gang battle. I'm going to say you guys didn't get a ton of people. So you're even footing, but you can argue any of those other things from before as well.
I have something that I would like to argue,
Yes.
and it's technically not in this list in the gang advantage checklist. But I believe that what we know about Kiera and Kiera's experiences with Ocean and their training and their constant missions and whatnot, I think Kiera also should be one that is not to be fucked with. I think it tracks.
I don't know.
I
if
think
she's
it
quite as not
tracks.
to be fucked with as you.
Yeah, she's a tough girl, right? She and Ocean were on equal footings, right? We were both using each other in equal grips to survive out there. She might not be as big as Ocean, but I bet she has a more tactical mind than Ocean does, at the very least.
I will give you that, but I'm also going to be meaner to you for the rest of
That
them.
stinks. Okay, because I argued that so successfully, then obviously we have a stronger, dedicated, masterful, tactically innovative leader.
Yes.
One, because these are slime balls. I don't think they have any leader. So even if somebody had a brain, they'd be a better tactical leader than these guys, I suspect. I think we are better armed and armored than they are because they're just blobs of flesh.
I'm gonna argue that one
What?
because
What? There's no
the
way. They're blobs of flesh.
bullets don't seem to be doing much against them though, is what I'll say. They're hitting them and they're still crawling closer. Told you I'd be meaner.
Or at the very least, we're better organized, trained, and disciplined.
Yes.
Because I'm assuming they're just flesh monsters. And we outclass them in mobility because we can walk. They're not very mobile. The way you described them, they sound slow lumbering.
They are slow and lumbering.
Okay.
Yes. 4 total.
Damn you. Okay, fine. That's still a lot.
Yes, that is a huge benefit. That normally means it's pretty much a decisive victory, but we will still roll and see if you fail.
Okay. Oh, God. I mean, I'm pretty good at fighting, but at the same time, that is
Dice can always betray you.
No, that's an 8.
So that would be you dealing 7
Oh,
harm
hell yeah.
and taking 0. So describe how, despite being in these dire straits for a second, it gets turned around and they completely eviscerate the remaining flesh monsters.
So I think at first they're firing the bullets at these flesh monsters and nothing is happening. They're just still lumbering forward. And for a brief moment, people are panicking. But then Kara raises her hand and says, wait. Fire, try fire. And somebody throws a Molotov cocktail. And when it throws it, it hits it. It instantly just kind of similar to the octopus. It just almost instantly just like seems to suck out all the liquid and it just kind of like shrivels up. And from then when Kara notices that, she points at the weapons like switch from traditional artillery to incendiary rounds or whatever the hell you have that lights things on fire. I don't care. Just use it. And so they swap over to throwing gasoline and matches and Molotov cocktails. And I'm sure at least one person has a flamethrower to face off against the rest of these guys.
The smell is not great, but all of them burn up. It's like the flesh balls. It's not like they just melt when they get hit with heat. They scar and char, and it is this horrible, slightly plasticky smelling melting
It's unpleasant.
that fills the entire sewers with a smell worse than even a sewer would normally be. As the smoke clears and some of the small fires finally get put out, you see that there are no more fleshy monsters.
Good.
And then real quick,
Oh.
we zoom out of the
Come
sewers
on.
through Subtropolis,
Oh.
and we see a well-formed line of some of the strongest looking people you've ever seen. Each one of these people is about your size, maybe even bigger.
God.
They don't have a lot of very advanced weapons, but they have like giant bats with nails in them. One of them seems to just have straight up barbed wire wrapped around his entire arm, like he's ready to just whack people with it, but it's just like sticking into him. And they are heading for what looks to be a small tunnel leading into the baffles from Subtropolis.
Oh no.
And one of them grabs the other one's shoulder and he points, and you see one Boxcar Children who is not paying attention at all. He is playing with a Rubik's Cube. He's laying in a wheelbarrow right now playing with a Rubik's Cube, and his giant sniper rifle is just like leaned up against the wall. And they start being a little more sneaky. They move single file and start moving closer to him. And then one of them stops and he hears like a little whirring sound, and less than a second later, a giant hole appears through the middle of each of them in sequence as Vesuvius soars through the middle of them in his suit,
Yes, I was getting worried for a
whooping
second.
and
there.
hollering in excitement as they just explode against his head with his rocket boots propelling him forward. And he shoots back up into the air of Subtropolis and starts spinning around into the distance.
Oh, I was worried for a second there, but my man came in clutch. This is why he's the best character in this entire podcast.
You guys gave him too much stuff. He can't lose a normal fight. Okay. Hey, look, Brady's back.
What a miracle. What a coincidence. Hi, Brady.
You missed a lot of really good, weird combat and a lot of Evangelion talk, but we're going to jump back into where you guys are at in your dad's favorite show.
All right, Brady, let's get back into it.
Brady, repeat that really corny line you ended last episode with, and that'll kind of kick off the transition scene.
Peppermint patties. Perfect snacking for bushwhacking.
As you say that, the whole camera spins around in a circle around where Peppermint Patty's in the middle, and it switches to a map that you see a red dashed line on, and it's moving through the jungle, and you see it loop around a bunch of difficulties. You see it dodge something that says poo trap for heffalumps, and it loops around it to the top side. You go under a secret waterfall. It like swirls down like you're being flushed down a toilet, and then it loops around to another side.
This is very Emperor's New Groove.
It's been a while since I've seen Indiana Jones. They didn't hide jokes in here.
The poison for Cusco. Cusco's poison.
And then it stops with a big red X, and the camera moves back up, and we see it's like dusk right now, and you guys are bushwhacking through the edge of the jungle, and you look sweaty but not any tireder than you were before, but you're able to tell that time has gone on as you reach this clearing. And he goes, I always took a shortcut through this clearing because I just really liked that tree. Something about it reminded me of my wife, Margaret.
Just do really quick. The peppermint patties, do they feel like they're doing anything when I eat them?
They are unleashing a blast of freshness that is not rivaled by any other candy bar.
But it doesn't feel like it's attracting the bone gas like it was before.
Certainly not as much as when you freebased a bunch of Camel Crush crystals.
Did I feel like the Camel Crush crystals did more than the
Oh yeah, way
than
more.
the peppermint
Way more,
patties?
yes.
Oh,
Not even
Okay.
not even close. It's 1,000
then I
times
take
more.
out the carton of Camel Crush crystals. I pour some into my mouth. I pour some into CD's hands, and I'm like, take a crunch of these.
Okay, this is certainly a sway someone roll because these do not look like food.
They do to me. I pop them in my mouth to show them that they're safe, even though they're probably not.
Okay, I think that still is a sway someone roll.
Plus cool, which is great because I rolled a 4 and a 4. Plus 3 is 11.
He definitely looks hesitant at his hand, and he goes, well, I did love that strange astronaut food you gave me before, so might as well try some of these. And he does start with like just one, and he like whew, shakes his head, and he goes, that is potent. How did you eat so many of these? And he's like kind of licking the back of his throat some, and he's
CD, trust me, they get better the more you eat and the faster you eat them.
I do notice my mouth is kind of numbing up a little bit, and he's slowly popping some more in his mouth as he starts walking up towards this big tree.
Book takes out his hatchet, and I say, Charles, the reason you were probably drawn to this tree is because, and he slams his hatchet against it, and it bounces off. He's like, it ain't made of wood.
Oh my god, a completely stone tree.
A petrified tree.
Fascinating. A petrified tree that still has leaves on it. I cannot believe it. This is fascinating. Did you know that petrified
As
trees...
Charles investigates this tree, Book grabs Ocean, or Ocean grabs Book by the scruff of his jacket and pulls him back and goes, Red, what's your plan here?
Ocean, my plan is to purge the bone gas from my dad's body so that we can have a actual fucking conversation with him and get him the fuck out of here.
I mean, it's a good plan, but I think even if we purge the gas from him right now, I think we need somebody to lead us to the end of this episode, I assume. If we make him forget everything and wake him up spontaneously, I think they'll probably notice.
Well, then we'll have to be subtle and maybe blend the scene with reality a little bit. Are we not currently trapped in a, in quote, I do air quotes, temple that we need to escape because he can't find his son?
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll let you take the lead on this. He is your dad.
I think actually you should take the lead and I'll be the sidekick. But keep feeding him camel crushes.
You're gonna have to tell him eventually.
Let's just play this out.
I think he might figure it out on his own.
I figured it out on my own. Look at this. And he points up at the tree, and the moon is like perfectly between these two branches up there right now as the eclipse is beginning. And he goes, my conjecture is that as soon as the last light of this eclipse reaches the end, then there's some sort of contraption related to this mirror I found here. These aren't actual real leaves. These are artificial. They're made from jade, and they have been polished to a fine sheen to reflect the moon's light.
Well, how long until the moon shines straight through those branches?
I think about 14 seconds.
Oh my.
Charles, look at this crack in the tree. I bet the light has to shine through the crack and hit the mirror.
But based on my calculations, and he like quickly moves his fingers like he has an abacus in front of him. He's like, it's going to be off by 3 to 4 degrees. We got to fix this. We got to move some of these leaves so they angle directly into that crack.
I turned to Ocean. I'm like, is this fucking edutainment? I'm going to kill myself.
Have you heard of my good friend Pythagoras?
Wasn't Young Indiana Jones a pseudo educational show?
Yeah, I think so.
I was a Johnny Quest guy, so I'm not
I'm
sure.
pretty sure Young Indiana Jones was like supposed to be like a fake pseudo historical education show.
Well, the moonlight we can treat as parallel rays because it is effectively infinite distance from its origin point. Not infinite actually, but in practice we may treat it as such, since these light rays are bouncing all the way from the sun off the moon down to this 3 to 4 inch difference here at Earth. So I think if we can just angle enough of these to this one focal point, if I'm doing the math correctly, I need one of you to give me this last value. I know that this side is 3 inches long, and this other one is 4. And I need the hypotenuse.
Ocean puts his hands on it and
It's 5.
what do you want to move?
It's the new move called a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and 9 plus 16 is 25, and the square root of 25 is 5, so it's 5.
Oh, we could do it that way. Whatever. I was trying to be cool and cheat.
You say 5, and McCready like looks like he's doing more math, and he's like, that's correct. Did you do that by using the Pythagorean theorem, or did you know about 3, 4, 5 triangles?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Ocean puts his hand on him and says, yeah, he's a pretty smart little fellow, my friend Red. Doesn't he seem familiar to you?
Book kicks him in the shin.
Almost as smart as you are, it seems.
That is true.
Stu, what did we call the moon crack in the book in the McCready cave?
I don't think we had a name for it, did we? I don't think
it was like my observatory.
Yeah, the observatory. We did not call it the moon crack. I know that much.
We should have called it the moon crack.
I know for sure that was
The
not
big
something we
moon.
called it.
Charles, did you ever have an observatory of your own?
I've been to all of the greatest observatories, but this does feel familiar. I feel like I have bounced some moonlight off of things before. I must have. I must have been one of my early, undergraduate research activities. Don't remember it for some reason.
Well, here, if you maybe...
Meet some more of these brain smart mints. See if that brings anything back.
that was just about to... I was literally trying to word it. Well, maybe your brain needs a little bit more nourishment, some sugar to think a little better. But here, have some more of the mints that we have.
I don't know if these are just mints and sugar, but something in them is definitely making me think a little quicker and have a little more pep in my step. Right when he pops those in his mouth, the moonlight reflects perfectly into that little crack, and you hear a bunch of stone grinding sounds, like every single temple door opening sound that's ever happened. And right in front of the tree, the ground separates, and there's these huge set of stairs leading down underneath it into a huge temple that somehow is lit just good enough to still see, but seems a little dark.
I use my blowtorch to light the torch that is conveniently placed at the entrance.
Yeah, there's a pre-oiled torch, like always, right near the entrance.
And
blow torch it up.
I say, Charles, when you're in your undergraduates, you just mentioned, did you happen to be in a school play of Hamlet?
Hamlet. Oh, this is where if I was smarter, I would quote Hamlet right now. To be
just
or
about
not
to
to be.
Brevity is the
Soul of wit.
Yeah.
A horse, my
Alas,
kingdom for
Horatio, I hardly knew ye.
Horatio, I hardly know her.
See, I'm only asking because you look familiar. I think I may have seen you on opening night.
Well, you back then you would have had to be a small little tyke.
Yeah, my parents used to take me to see shows like that all the time.
Well, it seems like they raised you right if you're here doing moon calculations without even a calculating device. And he turns and he grabs the lit torch from you and leads the way down underneath here. It's a dank tunnel. There's somehow cobwebs, even though it seems like nothing should have been here for 1,000 years. There's a bunch of decomposed, like, suits of armor laying around and stuff. There's 4 different types of, like, ancient civilization symbols just spread throughout. It's tight and cramped for a while, but then it finally opens up a little bit. And there's this big, long, still pool underneath the water. Or sorry, in this giant temple. You're in this, like, large extended room. It looks like the reflecting pool in front of the Washington Monument. And he goes, my spidey senses are tingling. Feel like there may be some sort of danger here. And he taps into the pool and the ripple goes out from it.
Do we see at the end of the other side, there's like a path to continue forward?
Yes, absolutely. There's 2 lit torches on both sides of the big path on the other side.
Ocean looks up and sees if there's any vines or ropes hanging down.
Oh yeah, there's all sorts of vines, always.
Do you have a whip of some kind or like a rope that we could lasso down to that and swing across?
Yes, I think I have just the thing. And he pulls out a rope and he ties it around his boomerang. And then he throws his boomerang and it arcs perfectly between the loop and comes back to him. And he unties it and ties it into a little knot.
Well, before we swim across, and Ocean reaches into his bag and grabs one of those junior mints, grabs one of the junior mints and he flicks it into the water. And as it touches the water, does anything happen?
It floats soggily for a second, but you notice it seems to, like, there's movement. It starts moving in a particular direction and not where you flicked it. Like, it goes where you flicked it for a second and then it starts slowly drawing back kind of at like a perpendicular angle. So even though the water is perfectly still, it seems like something is dragging this to the side.
Ocean looks over to the side.
Just clear water.
I don't trust that water. I think there's something in there. So do your best. Don't get wet. And Ocean grabs the rope and he swings across.
Nice. Give me try something challenging.
Come on, please. Okay, that is an 8. 8 total.
You can either be a little bit short. You successfully swing across and you're able to get to the other side because you passed your roll. You can either come up just a little bit short, so you end up having to splash. You let go and you like splash in the end and you have to pull yourself up. Or you can get all the way to the other side, but the rope is not able to come back to everyone else. So they have to figure out a new way.
I like the rope coming back all the way to the side thing. I think that's more dramatic.
So yeah, you swing across and you land on the other side, but you start leaning backwards and you have to pull against the rope again to kind of right yourself. And as you do that, you hear a bunch of like vines ripping and the top of the rope just comes completely off and falls down to the side next to you. And there's no convenient loop for him to throw another boomerang around.
Ocean scratches his head and looks back and shouts, "Sorry, Charles."
It happens to the best of us. You got any ideas, Red?
Stu, what do I see nearby? Anything that looks like it could be a secret passage?
There's no like door or anything like that. There's no cave or anything that it looks like you could crawl through, but you do notice some weird symbols on the wall that seem like they're like jumbled up. They don't seem to be oriented correctly. And they're on like loose tiles. Like imagine a very flat stone Scrabble tile.
I pick up the Scrabble tiles and I spell juniper.
So you go and you place it and it says juniper and it seems to recede into the wall some. And then you notice on the other side, there's a similar setup. It looks like you've done half of the puzzle. And he looks at it and he goes, juniper. Excellent. That they make gin from that. It's a tasty treat who never lets you down.
Yeah. Can you think of anything else that might solve the other half of that puzzle? Maybe another type of plant?
Another type of plant. You're right. A lot of times, these ancient civilizations would have particular things that they thought were important. And if this was a particular horticulturally advanced society, this may have been their most important words. And he looks and he goes, in fact, I think if you do a little bit of rearranging here, you get a little less known plant, the old hickory tree. And he pushes that in and it recedes in. He goes, and then as soon as that happens, the middle of the entire room rises up just like 4 inches out of the water. So there's this perfect bridge leading right
Oh,
across.
gee, that seemed a lot easier than swinging across.
Yeah, you swung like 80 feet somehow. It was very
But
impressive.
you did it with style.
Well, let's go. Still be careful. Even though we solved this puzzle, sometimes there's a second hidden trap. Nope, we made it across fine. Excellent.
All right, lead the way.
Okay, there's always 2 more rooms.
I offer him more.
Yeah, that did probably took a lot of thinking. Don't you think you want one of these nice, refreshing brain blasters?
Brain blasters.
I do love blasting brains.
Yeah, it shocks you into being a little smarter when you bite one of these things.
Oh, I haven't tried biting them. I've been suckling. Let me try it. Oh, that's a big pop. Whew. Oh, it makes my eyes water. Okay, let's go into this next room. We already solved a word puzzle. Now there's probably a physical challenge somewhere here. He leads you through another dark, twisting cavern. He holds up his hand for just a second, and then he throws his boomerang down a hallway, and it goes perfectly straight down it and perfectly straight back, and he catches it. And as it comes back, a whole series of swinging guillotines and poison darts shoot across the hallway. He goes, not my first rodeo. And then he carefully steps forward through there. And then it opens up into a large room that has a bunch of little stone and jade figurines everywhere of all different shapes, sizes, items, objects are all throughout the room. He goes, shit, this is going to be some sort of puzzly bullshit, I believe. And he looks up and he goes, yep, right here. And he dusts across a big stone tablet. And there are 3 sequentially more difficult riddles.
Hell yes.
Oh, no.
The first one he reveals, and he says it out loud. He's like, sorry, this is an ancient Sumerian, but I will translate for you. What has a bottom at the top?
Is that the whole riddle?
That's the whole riddle. These are all short riddles.
At the top.
Bottom at the top.
No, can we hear the other 2? And then we can let our brains chew on them all?
That sounds harder, but yes, we can do that. That's fine with me. The next one, and he blows and dusts away the top, and he goes, here's the second one. What has 13 hearts, but no other organs?
That I think I know.
Yeah, I think I know that too.
That one I think I know.
I think I got it as well.
That's a deck of cards.
Melty cheese monster. Oh, wait, what?
Melty cheese monster.
It's a melty cheese monster.
Where did you see one of
There's
those?
13 hearts. Sewers under sewers.
Yeah, in the city.
Yeah, I saved my son. He was getting attacked in the sewers,
You saved.
and I had to save him. This was before he was taken away and hidden in this temple.
What happened after you saved your son?
I don't remember. I tried to get him back, and then I think that may have been when he was taken from me. I had him. He wasn't doing great, but I was bringing him back, and then he was stolen from me and locked in the Temple of 1,000 Moons, where we're at right now.
Do you remember
Melty cheese monsters.
when I was your student, right, in the institute? We left the institute at some point, and I passed out.
I used to party quite a lot.
Yeah, do you remember this? Do you remember what happened after I passed out?
No, I'm sorry. I really don't remember you that well. I do. That sounds familiar.
That's okay. Here, to help with the riddles, here, I'll have another brain blaster.
He opens his mouth for you to toss it in. And he goes,
What's the last riddle, Charles?
let me see here. And he dusts it off and he blows, and a big plume of dust comes into the air. And he goes, what has many keys but cannot open a single lock?
That one I know as well.
A piano.
A piano. Interesting. Well, if we look around here, and he looks around and he finds a little ivory carved piano, and he goes, this, I think, is one of them. We have to find a melty cheese monster or a deck of cards. Whichever one we find first, I guess, will prove which of us is correct. And he's like, oh shit, there's a deck of cards. Here we go. And it's like beautifully made cards in a little wooden box. He goes, now we still just have to know what has a bottom at the top.
What does have a bottom at the top?
And he starts digging around in the items trying to find it.
Could it be like a hat? Like you put it on top of your head, but the hat has a bottom?
I don't think that makes any sense, but let's try. And he takes his hat off and he puts it on there. He goes, nope, Nothing. No reaction.
What has a bottom at?
Bottom at the top. Doesn't make a damn lick of sense.
Is it the winner of a race standing on a podium? He's on the top of the podium, but he has a bottom, a butt, a human butt.
Red, I don't think that sounds correct.
No, I think he's onto something. A human butt. What has a human butt at the top of it? I know. I got it. And he lifts his leg up and he places it on the podium. And there's a glowing warm light.
I've done it. By George. Eureka.
The bottom was a butt all along. As there's this grinding loud noise that opens up.
Oh, God.
And sitting in the middle of a podium, a light somehow shining on it, despite the fact you're way underground, is a beautiful carved item. What should it be? Book.
It should be a book. It should be a literal, like, carved golden book.
Yeah, I like that.
That's a good one. Good job, Jacob.
I try. I know book better than Brady does.
That's true. You always think that your book would make sense.
You see, he walks up to this giant carved book and he goes, that's funny. My son's name is Book as well. And he looks at it and he looks around it and he goes, I'm worried there may be a pressure plate. Does anyone have something that's about the weight of a container of maybe government cheese that I could kind of swap with this?
Well, I'll be damned.
Book pulls out one of his 2 boxes of government cheese.
Yeah, Ocean almost pulls his out and then says, he thinks about it, but then he puts it back in his bag and says, no, I don't have any of that.
He goes and he takes the government cheese and he very carefully holds it in one hand as he reaches out to try to grab the book away and place it on top at the exact same time. And then he does it and everything seems fine.
God.
Of course it's going to remain fine. Just kidding. There's a big grunting sound and he looks around and you see coming up in the same direction like that you were heading, a massive boulder is starting to roll back down towards you.
I don't think that weighed the same as a government block of cheese.
Now, this book is much lighter.
Okay, just run.
Okay, you all start sprinting away. As you're running full speed, Book, give me a read a sit roll.
That was a 9 plus 3, 12.
Okay, ask me 3 questions.
Is that my dad?
Seems like it. Is that one of your questions?
Are we in the same room as my dad for real? Or is this some kind of illusion?
Illusionary magic. That's also not a question you can ask.
I know. Okay. Stu, my 3 questions are, what is my best way out of this simulation?
What a twist.
What should I be on the lookout for? And what represents the best opportunity for me to wake up my dad?
Excellent questions. I like that trio of questions. Okay, you guys are running full bore back down the way you came. You're now realizing that the path you've taken is pretty much linear. So this boulder is going to follow you the whole way down. And you're starting to run out. And you realize with your Camel Crush sponsored new clarity of your mind, as you're sprinting, it seems like you're almost outrunning the action adventure show. Just like before, how you were able to see lights and things kind of on the border of your vision, you're running full speed, but it seems like they're starting to come a little bit closer to you. Certainly not at the speed you're running, but it seems like you're reaching it. You're seeing more darkness on the outside. Like before, it looked like you were like when you're in the cop show. If you looked on the horizon, you would see the whole city, you'd see everything. But right now it seems like maybe 15 feet away from you, it's darkness just at all times. And it seems like you are catching up to it. So you think there may be a way to just get out of the simulation, like physically, to awaken your dad. You think you've been doing all the right things. You've been trying to remind him of his past. You've been giving him the cool, refreshing taste of Camel Crushes. And you think getting out of the simulation would also be a big step up for that, if you're able to get him out with you as well. You don't think his mind is as clear as your twos because you did a bunch of menthols before you got here. But if you can bring him with you, you think that'll really help. He's not going to just immediately be fine, but you think it'll be very easy to convince him something's up when he's thrown out of the simulation. And the last question was something I forgot.
What should we be on the lookout for?
Oh, of course. You know that if you do break out of the simulation, you are stuck on a floor with the only way down an elevator that you don't really control. But Spade is supposed to help you. So you're not in a great spot once you get out, is what I'm saying. And there's not going to be much potential for sneaking and snooping once you break out. Ocean knows you obviously aren't having this conversation right now as you run from a boulder, but Ocean knows that it was like less than a minute of an audience member not being where he's supposed to be before there was an indication that there might be an alarm or something. It didn't actually trigger anything bad, even though it was like a 5-minute conversation, but it was definitely noted that someone wasn't doing what they're supposed to do.
So we're running. Book is very much out of breath. And he's like, Ocean.
You got robot lungs. How can you be out of
That's
breath?
true. I'm not out of breath. So we're running, and Book nudges Ocean, and he says, Ocean, no matter what happens, you just keep running, okay? You keep running.
What are you talking about? What are you about to do?
I'm gonna distract the simulation, and you gotta keep going. You gotta get outside of it.
Get outside the simulation. How do I do that?
Just keep going. I think if you get far enough away from us, it won't be able to simulate the three of us at the same time.
Okay. All right. I'll think about. I'll try.
Just keep running and running and running and running and running and running. And we break out into that room that had the bridge over the water. And the moment that Book and his dad like step onto it, I think Ocean's a little bit ahead of us. Book intentionally trips and kind of knocks him and his dad off the bridge and into the water with the scary thing in it.
Give me a try something challenging roll.
I what? Rolled a 4.
Okay. You try to subtly, sneakily trip both of you. You're like falling behind a little bit to give Ocean some room. It seems like Charles notices it too. And he's like, come on, pick up the pace, Red. We got to get out of here. It's coming. And you look back and the boulder's still rolling, grinding away, just destroying the walls and everything. And then he turns around and you take that opportunity to try to do your sneaky trip and slide.
Yeah.
You miss him entirely and you legitimately slip. You try to like kick his feet from behind him as he's moving, but you miss entirely and you slip on the wet stone that was recently unsubmerged, whatever that word is. And your head hits the concrete behind you. You take one armor-piercing harm. It hurts real bad. And you do slide into the water. So mission accomplished.
Oh,
You're disoriented.
Charles doesn't slide in with me, I assume.
Charles does not slide in with you.
yeah. Ocean sees that and he's like, he sees that, and every instant he wants to like turn around because, damn, that was a really convincing trip. And but he knows he's like, Book has a plan. I trust Book, and he keeps running.
You don't see the blood smear on the concrete behind him, and you keep running. The barrel breaks into this room, and it like makes a loud noise as it crashes into this different chamber. And Charles, as always, before he says something, jumps up to the highest point. There's a little ledge right in the middle, and he looks up at Ocean running away. You seem to be a good distance away, heading towards the real exit. He looks down into the water, and we see Book getting pulled violently towards the edge. There's something that seems to be like dragging him. Like you don't see any creature or anything. It could even just be an underwater current, but he is getting dragged down to the like side of this room. And Charles looks up at the boulder, the third friend in the room, and sees it rolling towards him. And he says, hold on, Book, I'm coming for you. And he jumps out and dives into the water and into a perfect swan dive, disappearing underneath the water. And both of them get pulled down some chute out of this room into the deep, dark innards of this tunnel. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Oops All Apocalypses. Go ahead and send us questions to oops@stu.cool. That's OOPS @STU.COOL. And those questions can be about anything from this entire series, because we may be doing a season 1 recap coming up pretty soon. Don't be worried about that. Season 2 will still be fun. Same sort of thing. We're just finding a natural stopping point. The music and editing was performed by Stu Masterson. Brady McDonough made the logo and any art you find. And Jacob is incapable of having a normal length conversation about his favorite anime. Love you, bye. always took a shortcut through this clearing because I just really liked that tree. Something about it reminded me of my wife, Margaret. And this tree has huge tits. No, I'm kidding.